Edition of Arirang News. I'm Mark Broom. Let's start by taking a look at the day's headlines. President Moon Jae-in says South Korea's launch of the world's first 5G mobile network is the start of a great transition for the country. He also highlights what the tech will mean for exports and job creation. Hanjin Group enters emergency management after the sudden death of its chairman. Both Hanjin Group and Korean Air are now without leadership. So what does the future hold for the companies that are household names in Korea? Plus, South Korean golfer Jin-young ascends to #1 in the LPGA World Rankings following her debut major win at the ANA Inspiration last weekend. Our top story this morning, South Korea became the first country in the entire world to launch a 5G mobile network for consumers last week. And according to President Moon Jae-in on Monday, this marks the start of a great technological transition. He says it's going to mean more opportunities for businesses and also more jobs. Shin Se-min starts us off.
A new beginning, says the president, on the launch of the newly introduced 5G technology. President Moon Jae-in, referring to Korea becoming the first country to roll out a super-fast 5G mobile network, said that being first in the world means that Korea's standards can become the global standards.
대한민국의 대전환이 이제 막 시작되었습니다. 세계 누구도 가보지 못한 길을 향한 우리의 한 걸음 한 걸음에 세계의 많은 국가와 기업들이 주목하고 있습니다.
With it, the president unveiled the ambitious goal of earning 15% of the global market share by 2026, hitting $73 billion in 5G-related exports and creating 600,000 new jobs in the sector. He also said that through national strategies, his government will help create the best ecosystem for 5G technology.
정부와 공공 분야에서 먼저 5G를 도입, 활용하고 과감하게 실증 사업과 시범 사업을 실시하여 시장이 빠르게 활성화될 수 있도록 돕겠습니다.
Stressing that being first doesn't necessarily mean being the best, President Moon said South Korea's next challenge is to become the world's leading player in the sector. He also noted that the country will invest in research and development to make sure the system is secure. He said the government will work on narrowing the digital divide and ensure people benefit equally from the new technology while being cautious that the new industry does not get tied down by regulations. The president said that despite such challenges ahead, the new technology will be a chance for the Asia's fourth largest economy to lead the entire world, calling the new 5G service a wider and faster highway for IT and communication. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
Now, the news came as a big shock on Monday as we heard confirmation Jo Yang-ho, the chairman of Hanjin Group, who turned Korean Air into a globally recognized brand name, had died after suffering from chronic lung disease. Now, attention is being drawn to Hanjin Group's and Korean Air's future. There's speculation his son will take over the reins, but there are other options on the table as well, potentially. Sobo Bin reports.
Right after the news broke, shares of Hanjin Cal, the holding company of Hanjin Group, soared 22%. Investors appeared to be relieved at the end of the scandals involving the late Jo Yang-ho. But there are big questions about the next in line at Hanjin Group. It could be the late chairman's son, Jo Won-tae, who is CEO of Korean Air. He's the only one in the family still involved in the business, so it seems likely that the succession will center on him. His sisters have both been part of high-profile scandals and are considered to be out of the picture. There's also a local activist fund called Korea Corporate Governance Improvement that could try and assert itself in management. Another issue for the Cho family is tax on their inheritance. The Cho family owns about 30% of Hanjin Cal. Hanjin Cal is the holding company of Hanjin Group, which operates Korean Air a massive shipping company, and more than a dozen other affiliates. It's been estimated that they'll owe inheritance tax worth almost $150 million. And to cover that, it's said that they might have Hanjin and Hanjin issue a bigger dividend. Alternatively, the Cho family could choose to give up their inheritance and let the company be run by professional managers. Sobobin, Arirang News.
Now, electric car models that run on batteries manufactured by South Korean manufacturers LG Chem and Samsung SDI have been included on a list entitled to state subsidies in China. Experts say this could pave their entry into the world's largest electric vehicle market. Kim Hyo-sun with the details.
The Chinese government has revealed a list of eco-friendly car models that have passed preliminary approval for receiving subsidies. The list disclosed by the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology includes 4 electric car models manufactured by Dongfeng Renault that use batteries produced by South Korea's LG Chem. Also on the list is an electric vehicle model developed by Jin-young New Energy Automobile that uses a battery made by Korea's Samsung SDI. The move means Korean battery manufacturers have taken a step closer to receiving Chinese subsidies. The final results will be made public in May. Subsidies are critical for Chinese electric car manufacturers because state subsidies for electric vehicles can cover as much as half of the price of the cars. South Korean battery manufacturers have struggled to gain a foothold in the Chinese market since late 2016, when Beijing did not approve them as electric car vehicle battery suppliers within the country. Kim Hyo-sun, Arirang News.
Now, in trade talks this week, the European Union is expected to urge South Korea to follow International Labour Organization agreements. Korea's Trade Minister Yoo Myung-hee and EU Trade Commissioner Cecilia Malmström will meet in Seoul on Tuesday for the 8th meeting on the Korea-EU FTA. South Korea plans to ask for improved export conditions for Korean steel, automobiles and pharmaceuticals. The EU will ask for more efforts to fully practice the ILO agreements, an issue the EU first brought up last December. The LPGA has a new #1, South Korea's Jin-young. Her ascent to the top makes her just the 5th South Korean golfer to garner the top ranking. For more on how she rose to the top of the pile, here's Lee-seung-jae.
After winning her first major tournament over the weekend at the ANA Inspiration at Mission Hills Country Club in Rancho Mirage, South Korea's Jin-young is the new #1 female golfer in the world. With 7.20 ranking points, Ko jumped 4 places up the rankings and dethroned fellow South Korean Park Sung-hyun, becoming just the 5th South Korean to become world #1. She joins an elusive list of South Koreans following Shin Ji-hye, Park In-bi, Yu So-yeon, and Park Sung-hyun. The 23-year-old was the 2016 KLPGA Player of the Year with 9 career wins on home soil before she claimed her first LPGA victory at the KEB Hana Bank Championship in South Korea in October 2017. Giving her an exemption for the LPGA Tour for 2018, Ko won her first official LPGA event in February, becoming just the 2nd player in LPGA history to win on her debut. Her major victory over the weekend gives her 2 wins in the LPGA so far this season and makes her the early favorite to be named Player of the Year. However, it'll be a tight battle throughout the season, with 3 more South Koreans in the top 10 nipping at her heels. Park Sung-hyun at #2, Park In-bi at 7, and Yu So-yeon at 9. Lee-seung-jae, Arirang News.
President Moon Jae-in meets with US President Donald Trump in Washington this week to discuss ways to move forward with North Korea. And more than ever, he's hoping to find a way to resolve the deadlock we are seeing at the moment in inter-Korean relations. Our Park Hee-jun with more.
President Moon Jae-in kick-started a peace drive on the Korean Peninsula in a speech in Berlin when he made it clear that his goal is to achieve permanent peace.
우리는 북한의 붕괴를 바라지 않으며 어떤 형태의 흡수 통일도 추진하지 않을 것입니다. 통일은 평화가 정착되면 언젠가 남북 간의 합의에 의해 자연스럽게 이루어질 일입니다. 나와 우리 정부가 실현하고자 하는 것은 오직 평화입니다.
For that, he said engagement between the two Koreas is crucial. The president's commitment helped bring about the North's attendance at the Pyeongchang Winter Olympics, a series of inter-Korean summits, family reunions, and cooperation in a range of fields. And the South Korean president has vowed to speed up the process this year.
한반도 평화의 길은 지금 이 순간에도 진행되고 있고 올해 더욱 속도를 낼 것입니다. 한반도 비핵화에 대한 약속이 지켜지고 평화가 완전히 제도화될 때까지 긴장을 늦추지 않겠습니다.
But no actual progress has been made in the first 4 months of 2019, mainly due to sharp differences between Pyongyang and Washington on denuclearization, the cause of the collapse of the Hanoi summit. On Thursday, President Moon is expected to work with President Trump to find some middle ground between the different demands on denuclearization so that inter-Korean relations can also move ahead.
이번 한미 정상회담은 어떤 난관이 있어도 한반도 평화 프로세스를 반드시 성공시키겠다는 우리 정부의 일관된 원칙과 대화를 지속해 북미 협상을 타결하겠다는 트럼프 대통령의 확고한 의지가 만난 결과입니다.
And although it's been far from an easy journey, the president said those involved owe it to the past year of unbelievable accomplishments to continue trying.
우리는 결코 과거로 돌아가지 않을 것이고 돌아갈 수도 없습니다. 막힌 길이면 뚫고 없는 길이면 만들며 함께 나아갈 것입니다.
And this shows how much the upcoming summit means for President Moon. 박희준, Arirang News.
Now, as a follow-up to Hee-jun's report, South Korea's Foreign Minister Kang Kyung-hwa says she expects meaningful results from the South Korea-US summit, which will take place at the White House on Thursday US time, so Friday here in South Korea. She made the remarks to reporters on Monday after talks with her Indonesian counterpart in Jakarta. Kang pointed out that the progress made so far has been driven by the two leaders in a top-down direction. Though it's early to say exactly what will come out of the summit, Kang says she expects a good outcome as the two leaders have the sway to reinvigorate dialogue momentum between the US and North Korea. The 21st EU-China summit begins on Tuesday in Brussels. For more on this and other news from around the world, let's turn to our Hong Yu. So what are some of the main agendas on the table?
Well, Mark, top EU leaders will meet with Chinese Premier Li Keqiang in the hope of winning solid commitments on trade. But according to European sources, it's unlikely China will listen to their complaints on industrial subsidies and access to Chinese market. Therefore, there's a high possibility they will not reach a final joint statement. EU officials say China is unwilling to give binding commitments on their key demands, such as the inclusion of industrial subsidies as part of World Trade Organization reform. On the other hand, Beijing has been urging the EU to maintain its spirit of economic openness for foreign companies to invest and grow inside the EU. Beijing is pushing back against the term systemic rival used by the European countries to describe China, saying that in Chinese culture, rivals are bound to seek superiority over the other side. The head of mission of China to the EU said his government has prepared concessions including on Europe's market access in China, geographical indications, and the reform agenda of the WTO. Other agendas include human rights, climate policy, and investment relations. The United States has designated Iran's elite Revolutionary Guards Corps as a foreign terrorist group. President Trump said in a statement released by the White House on Monday that the U.S. recognizes the reality that Iran is not just a state sponsor of terrorism, but an active participant. It's the first time the U.S. has designated a foreign government body as a terror group, and the move is likely to raise tensions in the Middle East. In response, Iran's Supreme National Security Council said it has designated the U.S. Central Command, which oversees military operations in the Middle East, as a terrorist organization. It's also the first time the U.S. has ever been labeled as a terror group by a foreign government. A warplane attacked Midiga airport in Tripoli on Monday as fighting between rival forces has escalated in Libya. The airport was closed after it was hit in an airstrike launched by Haftar's Libyan National Army. The closure left Misrata Airport 200 kilometers to the east down the coast as the closest option for Tripoli residents. This fighting also threatens to disrupt oil supplies, fuel migration to Europe, and wreck UN plans for an election to end rivalries between the country's forces in the east and west.
Thank you as always to our Hong Yu for the world news there. Now it's time for our Life and Info segment, where we focus on information useful for your everyday life, whether you're in Korea or somewhere else in the world. Today, we are going to discuss cryptocurrencies. You've probably heard of Bitcoin. You might have heard of Ethereum. But there are now thousands and thousands of them that you almost certainly haven't heard of. Some good, some bad, and some downright awful. Now, Bitcoin prices have been in the news recently because they surpassed $5,000 again after a long slump, jumping to a 5-month high. We have, I'm happy to say, our business correspondent Kim Hae-sung in the studio to talk a bit of crypto. So, Hae-sung, some of these virtual currencies are already being used in our day-to-day transactions. So tell us more.
Yeah, Mark, so it's crypto time today, a digital currency. It's a virtual currency that's called crypto, and it enables peer-to-peer transactions, direct payments between you and me instead of going through a third party like a bank. And Bitcoin, which created a global phenomenon back in 2017 when prices soared to $20,000, is one example. Bitcoin prices are now lower than that at around $5,000, but still cryptocurrencies are held by around 3 million Koreans, around 6% of the total population, mostly in their 20s and 30s. And interestingly, there are a number of use cases that's growing as cafes, and more companies are accepting them as payment. Now, let's look at a footage which shows a cafe in downtown Gangnam that opened last year. Customers can use digital currencies to buy coffee. So Americano costs about $4. That's 0.0225 Ethereum when converted into the price of cryptocurrencies in real time. The whole transaction takes less than 2 minutes. 2 minutes may sound like a long time, but it's actually much shorter than the transaction time for credit cards, which takes days to be transferred from party A to party B.
We accept 5 kinds of cryptocurrencies, including Ethereum. Compared to credit cards, the remittance fee is much lower, and we plan to introduce more digital currencies into our server system.
Well, I can see why that coffee shop is quite popular, because that's in Gangnam, of course, and a lot of the big cryptocurrency exchanges we have here in Korea have their headquarters there.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
presumably a lot of the employees also own a bit of cryptocurrency. And I would say that if I had cryptocurrency myself, I might think about going there myself and trying it, maybe buying a cup of coffee or a piece of cake or something.
Yep. Yeah, all you need to do is to download a digital wallet on your smartphone. And it's not just cafes or restaurants. There are now gas stations or like pharmacies across Korea that accept cryptocurrencies. Now, let me put up a map. It's according to CoinDuck, over 100 places across Korea accept Ethereum as a digital currency, and using CoinMap, users can also look for places that accept Bitcoin. Now, going online, Shinsegae duty-free shop started accepting digital currencies last month. And travel website Expedia also accepts cryptocurrencies. And guess what, Mark? Samsung Electronics has included a digital wallet called the Samsung Blockchain Wallet into its new flagship Galaxy S10. So this is huge because the wallet has its own blockchain key store that enhances security and lets owners store and make payments using digital currencies, basically expanding the mobile fintech business with crypto. And as Galaxy S9, they sold like 35 million units. This makes it one of the highest profile mass market crypto use case.
With the expansion of this blockchain technology, it becomes more important to use these services safely and more conveniently on the smartphone. So we developed our feature to help users use these services with greater security on Galaxy S10.
So that's really fascinating then. We now can have our cryptocurrencies in our smartphone and they'll be safe and no one can hack into them, hopefully. And that's a huge phone as well. The Galaxy S10 is going to be a huge hit across the world.
They expect 40 million units to be sold this year.
Right, absolutely. So that's really going to show that the mass use of cryptocurrency, you'd expect it to keep growing because up until now it's been quite a niche market. But are there any other global players aside from Samsung really stepping deeply into cryptocurrency these days?
Yeah, there's a lot actually, because you see, when you look at many parts in the developing world, they don't really have smartphones yet, or they can't really buy things online or open a bank account. So you see global players like JP Morgan Chase that actually successfully tested its own digital currency called JPM Coin last February. And Facebook is reportedly working on its own digital currency to enable WhatsApp users to send money instantly. Industry experts say it could give Facebook a revenue boost of $19 billion US, but then again, I have to emphasize, Mark, there are still a lot of technical issues and government regulations that need to be ironed out for digital currency to be adopted widely, given problems like its potential misuse for money laundering, as well as security issues with a number of high-profile hacks on crypto exchanges. The next step for crypto was a key discussion point at the annual Economy Forum in Seoul last week, where engineers, experts, and government officials gathered to talk about digital currency and blockchain technology. I got the chance to talk to many experts, including the founder of Ethereum, Vitalik Buterin, and founder of the world's biggest cryptocurrency exchange, Binance. Now take a listen to Jang Chang-pong.
The currency is a very valuable thing. So if it's not secure, then people are not going to use it. But there are other things like ease of use. It has to be easy to use. So it has to be easy enough that my grandma or whoever else can all use it. It can't be too technical. Right now it's a bit too technical. And also we need to find more applications for it. International transfers, cross-border payments is a big app. But there's still not enough use cases being used widely. But I think that for that we need more entrepreneurs, more startups, more companies to build the solutions for the economy.
So cryptocurrencies really gained a technical push in 2008 following the global financial crisis after an unknown person or group named Satoshi Nakamoto introduced the so-called Bitcoin white paper, giving birth to Bitcoin in 2009. So it's been 10 years now, and now prices are lower, and industry watchers say it's because the speculative bubble is now gone. And for engineers, it marks a real beginning to include new features and develop a viable digital currency. And the fact that it's not just startups and we have like existing global players like traditional banks and IT giants joining the race to develop digital currencies, I think that's a testament to the usefulness of digital currency. So my point today is not that Bitcoin prices are going to go up or down, but that cryptocurrencies is the big thing for blockchain. Use cases are growing, and engineers and experts are working to make it happen.
Yeah, you sound very excited about cryptocurrency, but you told me before we went on air that you don't actually own any. You might be tempted to buy some now, and I was just thinking I really wish I had the foresight to buy Bitcoin back in 2009. The
foresight?
Because the foresight to buy it in 2009 when it was like 1 cent a Bitcoin. Now it's $5,000. It's just crazy how much it's gone up. And after what you've said, I might be tempted to buy half a Bitcoin, but if I can't stretch to that, maybe half an Ethereum, perhaps. Okay, Hae-sung, thank you very much.
Yep, my pleasure.
Good morning. Grab an umbrella on your way out. It's forecast to be a rainy one for the entire country. Starting from Jeju and Jeollanam-do province this lunch hour, gradually spreading to the rest of the country by the evening. And the capital area will see 5 to 20 millimeters of rainfall. Southern coastal regions could see 30 to 80 millimeters. Meanwhile, mountainous regions in Gangwon-do province could see snow overnight. And today's wet conditions will help to ease the dryness in the air, yet dry weather alerts are in place for most areas for now. Today's rain will bring down temperatures to the cooler side, and daily highs tomorrow will be in the single digits again here in the capital. So if you have time this afternoon, why don't you enjoy the last glimpse of cherry blossoms before they all fall off. Daily highs will be similar to a couple notches lower than yesterday, ranging between 15 and 17 degrees in most areas. That's Korea for you, and here's the international weather for viewers around the world.
Well, that's all we have for now. Stay tuned to Arirang TV. Our next newscast coming up at noon Korea time with our very own Lee Ji-yoon. So until then, goodbye.